Hi friends, welcome to Cheryl's Stories. Today we're going to read about another adventure from Luna. And today's story is called Luna Learns About Freedom by Cheryl Baham. You can get comfortable while I find my place. It was a warm June afternoon and Luna, a sweet little beagle puppy, and her best friend Cheryl were riding down the road headed to the library. "I'm so excited to go to the library," Luna said as she looked intently out the window. "I love books and stories, and it's my first visit. I just can't wait. Are there really a million books?" "I know you love stories, but a million books? I'm not sure about that," Cheryl said with a smile. "There are definitely a lot of them, though. You know, I'd love to go to the library, too. Books are my favorite." "Oh, me too, me too. Can we go a little faster?" Luna asked in her very excited voice. "We will get there soon enough," Cheryl responded. "Oh, look. There it is, right there," she pointed. Cheryl parked the car and the friends quickly exited and walked toward the big building. "Wow," Luna exclaimed as she stepped through the door. "There are books everywhere." Cheryl smiled as she watched her little friend explore the many shelves of books. As Luna started looking for a book to check out, Cheryl did some exploring herself. She noticed a room with a big poster beside the door. The poster mentioned that there would be a special guest speaking that day about Juneteenth. "Hey, Luna," she whispered to her friend, keeping her voice quiet and respectful to others in the library. "We should go to this presentation about Juneteenth. It sounds very interesting." "What is Juneteenth?" Luna whispered back, holding a book she had chosen very tightly in her arms. "I'm not really sure, so let's go to the presentation and find out," Cheryl told her. "It starts in 10 minutes. We can go check out your book and then find a seat." Cheryl and Luna made it to the presentation room with only a minute to spare. Several other people were already seated and ready to listen. "Good afternoon, friends," began the speaker. "My name is Mr. Miller, and I am very excited to share the story of Juneteenth with you today." "I like him already," Luna whispered to Cheryl. "He seems like a very nice man." "Yes, he does," Cheryl whispered back. "Let's see what he has to say." Mr. Miller began. "A long time ago, before most of us were even born, the ancestors of many of today's American citizens were slaves. Some of you might not know what a slave is, so I will tell you. A slave is a person who is forced to do work for another person without getting paid for it. A slave was actually considered to be the property of their master. Slavery was a very bad system, but nobody seemed to have the power to stop it until America's president at the time, President Lincoln, decided that it had to stop. He made slavery against the law. Everyone in the room was listening very closely. "Does anyone have any questions so far?" he asked. Luna raised her paw. "Hi, Mr. Miller. My name is Luna, and I'm so glad that we don't still have slavery here in America. It sounds terrible. Did those people who lived during that time finally get freed from slavery? Yes, they did. Thank you for your comment, Luna. It wasn't easy for them, though. It actually took 2 more years after President Lincoln made slavery illegal in America before all the slaves were free. The state of Texas was the last state to comply with the new law. Cheryl raised her hand. So what took so long for Texas to set their slaves free? She asked. Well, mail traveled very slowly back in those days, so it took a while for the people in Texas to hear about Lincoln's new law. Plus, the farmers there still needed help in their fields, and they wanted their slaves to do the work. So many of the farmers in Texas just didn't tell their slaves about the new law. Luna was sad when she heard that. So, Mr. Miller, what happened to finally make the farmers let the slaves go? Did President Lincoln go down there and make them do it? Mr. Miller chuckled. No, he didn't go himself because he had a country to run. So he sent a military leader by the name of General Granger to do it. The general landed in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1865. Once he got there, he read the new law to the people. At that point, the slave owners in Texas had no choice. They had to let their slaves go free. Everyone in the room gave a big round of applause, and even Luna gave a small little yip. So, Mr. Miller, Luna began, once the slaves were all free, what did they do then? Did they have a place to live away from their masters' farms? That's a great question, Luna, Mr. Miller replied. But no, most of the slaves didn't have anywhere to go. So they had to make the best of their situation. They were resilient though, and through determination, hard work, and sometimes the kindness of friends, they made it through. An older lady in the crowd asked, so that's why we celebrate June 19th, because that's when General Galveston arrived in Texas with the good news of freedom? That's right, ma'am, replied Mr. Miller. Once all the slaves in Texas were finally free, many of them started celebrating June 19th because at that point, all the slaves in the whole country were finally free. I had never heard of Juneteenth before, Luna interjected into the conversation. I thought maybe it was a new celebration. Well, yes and no, Mr. Miller smiled as he answered. Juneteenth has been celebrated by many people ever since that wonderful day in 1865, but it wasn't a national holiday until recently. Oh, okay, I see what you mean, answered Luna. So now that it's an official holiday, it will be celebrated by even more people every year. That's right, Mr. Miller nodded. So if it's a real holiday, then how are we supposed to celebrate it? Luna asked, warming to the idea. Well, that's another good question, Luna, Mr. Miller said. Traditionally, there are rodeos and maybe some fishing, definitely big cookouts, and sometimes even baseball games. People will often dress up for these celebrations because back in the days of slavery, masters wouldn't let their slaves wear anything fancy. Once the slaves were free, dressing up was an outward sign of their freedom. Mr. Miller talked for a few more minutes and then the meeting ended. Luna and Cheryl went up to say a few words to him. Wow, what an amazing person he was, Luna exclaimed once they were in the car and headed for home. He had such a great story to tell. How cool is it that I went to the library just to get a book, but I made a new friend and heard an amazing story all in the same visit. This was definitely a first great trip to the library, Cheryl agreed. You know, Luna, since it's technically a holiday, I think we should celebrate it. I know this wasn't one of the traditional ways to celebrate, but what do you think about stopping for ice cream? Yay! Luna exclaimed. Let's do it! Happy Juneteenth! The end. What a great holiday! Maybe some of you, though, like Luna, have never heard of Juneteenth either. Well, I'm glad we were able to learn so much about it from Mr. Miller. It truly was a great day when all the people in the United States were finally free. I think today would be a good day just to be thankful that we have freedom and that we live in a country that allows us to celebrate that freedom. Happy Juneteenth, everybody! And Luna says that you please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you liked her story today. And I will see you again next time. Goodbye. Goodbye, friends.